throughout history, when there has been political change or social change, monuments have changed too, because our monuments are there to represent our society to itself. It's what we want our future to be, who we want our children to emulate.
Last January, the iconic Theodore Roosevelt equestrian statue that had stood in front of the American Museum of Natural History since 1940 was removed. The removal of the statue, after years of protests, was part of a nationwide movement, according to Erin Thompson, an assistant professor at John Jay College. In the time since the protests of 2020 following the death of George Floyd, over 200 Confederate monuments have been taken down.
So the protests that happened after the murder of George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter protests, often centered on monuments as a means of dramatizing, demonstrating what the protesters thought was unjust about American society, or what counter-protesters thought should be defended in American society.
Case in point, protesters tearing down the Confederate monument in Lynn Park in Birmingham with their bare hands.
So it was really no surprise to see people trying to tear down the monument with their hands shortly after the death of George Floyd by roping it to a truck. If there's no legal, peaceful means to remove something, that seems to me to be the crushing of democratic debate.
In her new book, Smashing Statues, The Rise and Fall of American Monuments, Thompson explores the history of monument toppling, going as far back as 1776.
The fall of statues is something that accompanies social change throughout history. And I wanted to explore what I did in the book, how America got the monuments we have, and what are some of the reasons that are keeping them in place or causing them to come down recently.
She also began to track what happened to the statues once they came down.
Not a single Confederate monument has been irrevocably removed from view. The same with almost all of statues of Columbus and other controversial figures. Instead, monuments have just sort of been reshuffled. They've been put, instead of in City Hall Park, they've been put in historic battlefields, etc.
The Theodore Roosevelt statue was transported to North Dakota, waiting to be put into the new presidential library there when it opens in 2026.
It's not the toppling that's the point, it's the conversation that happens around the toppling. I talked to so many activists who wanted to stage almost a performance around the protest or removal of a monument so that we could change what our society looks like, not just change what that particular street corner looks like. People often say to me, wait, won't taking down these monuments erase history? But I think that monuments are only a very small part of our public memory of the past, and monuments are about honor, not so much about history. They're not textbooks. You're not going to get the full story from looking at one.
For Urban U, I'm Craig Thompson.